So guys, Windows 10 is coming out. I'm really excited for this. I mean, I've been on Windows 7 for a while and I really liked it, but I was one of those guys that didn't want to update to Windows 8. I have used Windows 8 and I do agree Windows 8.1 was a very good operating system, yet I still hadn't upgraded. I mean, I had a key, I just didn't want to go through all the trouble. But for Windows 10, I think it's going to be worth it. So I think it's about time anyways for me to upgrade. Anyways, from that point aside, like I just wanted to talk about Windows 10 in general. Like, why do you guys think it was called Windows 10? I've always had the theory that Microsoft's marketing team is pretty predictable. I mean, if you think about it, why did they really skip Windows 9? I keep hearing people online argue that it was because of a programming issue that couldn't handle Windows 9. Like, programmers would have difficulty typing start some Windows 9 program, and that would have a problem. I do have some of a programming background, but I must say that this itself, I mean, seems kind of far fetched. I don't think Microsoft's the kind of company that would come like would hold themselves accountable to legacy programs. Like I think they've always upgraded systems and stuff, and always like didn't care much whether or not they would some programs wouldn't work on their new OS or something. I've always felt that was the case. I mean, come on, they kind of released Windows 8, completely changing how people use Windows, getting rid of the start button. They didn't care, so I don't see why they would care. Like some legacy programs would whether it would function or not. I mean, I could be wrong. There might be some very valuable program out there that Microsoft just needs to make sure like still works. However, I just on programming background kind of way, I do agree that some programmers already knew that like you don't really start off a program by typing in start Windows 9 X. I mean, some programs did do this, but most of them just, I mean, it just wasn't a big deal. Like there was always a way to start the program without having like some critical error by having it type start Windows 9 and it would all crash. I mean, I feel like this was more like the a Y2K bug kind of issue where people were like talking like all this nonsense and they didn't really have much of a programming background or anything. And they just didn't know what they were talking about. And I mean, yeah, Y2K did affect some computers. Like it was a reality, but I mean, it didn't affect most computers. It didn't affect the majority of computers. I think it was like one or two computer types that actually were affected by this. I could be wrong, by the way. But anyways, it just seems far fetched to me. Like, why would they go through so much trouble for some minor programs or whatever? Anyways, I do think the real reason is just it's the marketing team in Microsoft. They've been doing this for a while. I mean, if you go back to like Microsoft's Xbox, the original Xbox was Xbox. The next one was to be Xbox 2, but they probably had a reason why they called it the Xbox 360. And this just seems to show like why how Microsoft's marketing team operates. They just simply call. I mean, if you go back to the history of video games and why it was called the Xbox 360, at that time there were two systems coming out: the PlayStation 3 and the Wii, the original Nintendo Wii. At that time, Nintendo's original system was called it was just called by its code name, the Revolution. No one else knew anything else about the system except that one name. So everyone thought Nintendo was going to release the system and call it the Nintendo Revolution because it had caught on by that time. Microsoft, knowing this, they didn't want to be behind Nintendo's system. I mean, Nintendo just, I mean, they were an afterthought for the most part. No one actually was thinking Nintendo was going to have a very successful system. In fact, I remember a lot of articles at this time by Microsoft executives said like funny things like Nintendo had no chance this time around. They did that in the competition, like in the spirit of of competition. But I mean, they had a general reason. They didn't ignore it, and that's why when you think about it, they also didn't ignore the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 2 was like I mean, the PlayStation 2 up to this point is the most successful gaming system out there with the most like sales and everything. They just and they were Microsoft was basically trying to be better than them, and the only way they could do this is if they're not behind them. And in the minds of people, like it would be a mistake to call your system the Xbox 2 in the sense that, and then it was competing with the PlayStation 3. The PlayStation 3 in a sense seems like ahead already. It was also technically believed to be slightly more powerful as it was coming out a bit later. So Microsoft went ahead and called their system the Xbox 360 in a way to give that ringing sound of the 3 in there, and on top of that, a 360 is also known as a revolution, a mathematical function way of looking at things. And I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect marketing. Like it was just meant to tantalize people, not to be behind systems and everything. So when you think about it, why was Microsoft calling their new operating system Windows 10, not Windows 9? I mean, if you just sit down there and just really think about it, the only other OS competing with them right now is OS 10 by Apple. It just makes logical sense not to be behind them either. I mean, Windows 9 just would have been, again, another step behind. Windows 7 was a good name because it was, a lucky number. 7's always been considered lucky, but going to 8, like, it wasn't a success. So why would you continue this trend and be one behind another operating system when the intentions of your operating system is to be better than the one that's already out there? And basically the same kind of thing. So you just release it. And then the best marketing thing, I think it's kind of genius, is to call it Windows 10. Like, just go ahead and just call it what it is. Like, it's the same kind of thing that you have with Apple, but it's Windows version of it. It's better, in that sense. I mean, I don't know if it's better. I do love OS 10, but I mean, I'm just saying in a marketing kind of point of view. I mean, it just makes logical sense that they would do that, call it Windows 10, skip 9, whatever. I mean, this operating system is probably going to mimic the same marketing thing where you don't actually have to buy upgrades. Every few months, there'll be a new upgrade to it. And I don't think Microsoft's going to go down that route of releasing new OSs, simply because most companies aren't doing that nowadays. All those other operating systems, they just tend to update much more quicker nowadays, and they don't really change their whole architecture or anything. I mean, it's just the way it is nowadays. And it just makes it sense that they would call it because of that. I know there are other theories out there, like the number 9 is considered bad luck in some societies, some cultures, and yeah, that might be also part of it. I mean, it makes sense also. Why not just skip it? I mean, you don't want that, but I don't think that's the main focus. I think the main focus of everything was simply just trying to catch up and not be behind. I mean, when Windows 8 launched, it basically destroyed part of the PC industry. I wouldn't say it destroyed it, but it kind of handicapped it. I mean, I remember that one time when Windows 8 came out, I really refused to buy a PC, and like if you look at articles during that time, PC sales also declined. So I mean, I think just Microsoft didn't want to go down the same route they've been going down for years, and they just decided to like completely call it just Windows 10. And I think that's just the main reason. I mean, I don't think there's anything complicated behind it. There's no real answer. And I think it's just a marketing thing. Microsoft's marketing teams always work this way. They haven't really. I mean, if you just look at it, their history, they never named the product by its official like sounding name. It's always been some strange name. So why not just do it for Windows 10? It's just ultimately it has to just be a marketing thing, and I think that's everything there is to it. And that's just my opinion on it. Well, if you guys disagree, or if you don't, or if you have other inputs I didn't realize, or something you want to tell me, just go ahead and let me know. Everything, and then guys, have a good day.